Welcome to Voice Rising with Kara Johnstad. Enjoy weekly conversations with leading luminaries, pioneering visionaries, singers, poets, musicians, and sound healers as we explore the profound role our voice plays on the path to self-realization and global enlightenment. The internationally acclaimed singer, composer, author, healer, recording artist, voice expert, creator of Voice Your Essence, and founder of the School of Voice, Kara Johnstad uses her extraordinary spiritual gifts to empower others. Everything in this world vibrates. Everything has a frequency. A pioneer in the field of voice work and transformational songwriting. Her breakthrough methods are helping thousands of people worldwide fine-tune their body-mind-spirit system and unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless creativity, health, and abundance. Share your voice, ask your questions, join in the conversation. Receive life-changing, positive transformation and rise together to create a sound world. And here's your host, Kara Johnstad.
Hello, beautifuls. Welcome to Voice Rising. Today, I am thrilled to introduce my esteemed guest, Mónica Esgueva, an author, therapist, visionary artist, and spiritual guide. And today, we're delving into Mónica's latest book, The 7 Levels of Wisdom, a fascinating exploration of personal growth and enlightenment tailored for the Western mind. And I'm also curious to know more about Mónica's personal voice practice and her understanding of vibrational wellness and how frequency affects our consciousness. Mónica, welcome to today's show.
Thank you so much for having me.
How is it to have a new book out there? You have many books. They're in Spanish. You've released Spanish as your mother tongue, and this is your first book in English. How does it feel?
Yes. Well, it feels a challenge.
Yeah.
It's going out of my depth sometimes. And but it's also very inspiring for me because it means that I can reach out to many more people.
Yes.
And so far it's been very, very interesting, and I think it's going to be an adventure for me. So I'm really thrilled.
Yes, we are also thrilled. Your book opens with a quote by Helena Roerich, and it says, "Consciousness is growing, and the quests of the spirit and heart are expanding. Despite the aggressiveness of the old and outworn consciousness, a new comprehension is setting its path. All the dams can only temporarily hold back this current, and it will be all the more powerful when it breaks through." Share with us these opening lines. What do they mean to you, and what do you think is going to happen when the dams begin to break?
Well, I do think we are in the middle of a big shift in consciousness, and there is a universal cycle that is coming to an end. Like everything in life, it has cycles. And we're coming to an end of a very dark age where we have been as a humanity, very involved in darkness, in greed, in jealousy, in hatred. And I think it's a very primitive way of living. And I do think we need a big change. And I don't think the global problems can be solved just by changing people in power or changing institutions. I think we require a shift of consciousness, and we are forced to have one because of the earth shifting. The consciousness of the earth, the vibration of the earth is increasing. Yeah. So we will come to a point where either we increase our own vibration or we will not be able to live here. We will have to go somewhere else. And that's how it goes. I mean, we are not necessary for the earth, but the earth is running its course towards a higher level of vibration. So it's not like someone will decide you stay or you don't stay. It's your own vibration. And by that, I mean a vibration of kindness, of benevolence, of cooperation, where we understand that we are just all part of the oneness. And we are not separated. We are not enemies. We are not competitors. We are just here to help each other to go further and further. So we can do it willingly, or we can do it unwillingly. So this is our only choice right now is that one. So in the end, everyone will go back to the oneness, to the source. We're just deciding at which pace we want to go there. So at which pace we are going to reconnect with our essence, with who we really are. We are not this mind, we are not this body, we are not these possessions. We are nothing that we thought we were, or we were told we were. We are something very profound and shiny that is within each person, but we have to do that discovery consciously, with consciousness and with consciously, because otherwise we don't progress, we don't make any progress. So this is really our predicament right now. It's either we increase our vibration, either we develop ourselves, or we will not be able to stay here.
That is so true. These are very powerful times. I think you and I and so many of our listeners feel that we are in this shift that is happening. I like to say evolutionary times, because you sense a lot of, like you spoke, of a lot of war and darkness and suffering and jealousy and pain. And at the same time, and this is what inspires, people like you are bringing out books. There's more meditation, there's more yoga, there's more independent musicians that are no longer in contracts for distribution, because they're able to, let's say, write a book and get it out, or they're able to get their messages out. They're able to even record a song and get it out. I'm not talking about money streams. I'm just talking about sharing the messages, right? Sharing their gifts, sharing the consciousness. So, there's many opportunities. How did your early spiritual connection and persistent questioning, because I believe you were a very inquisitive child, lead you to embark on this profound journey of self-discovery, which you share with us in your book?
Well, I was born spiritual, so I had a lot of awareness of God and my personal connection with God, and I was a very small child when I started asking why are we here? Where do we come from? Where is the meaning of life? I knew I was coming from a different place, and I missed my real home. I always said it's in the stars. And I remember one day I asked my father, I said, where do I come from? I was really curious because I couldn't put a finger on it. And he said, well, we found you under the bridge, and you were living with gypsies, and we took you home. And I was like, oh my God, I started crying. And it's like, I was so misunderstood that from that moment on, I stopped asking questions. I kept quiet, and I realized that and I was very small, and maybe 6, 7. I realized that I had to do my own quest, to find out the answers on my own, because I was not going to be guided from adults that couldn't understand me. So I was profoundly joyous, but at the same time thrown to cosmic sadness, we could say, over people's stupidity or cruelty to each other, and the blindness to see the divine in everything that I could see. So I had, at that time, I grew close to the Catholic Church, because that was the only thing that was spiritual, so to say. But I realized that the Church has not followed Master Jesus' words and message, and they were not coherent. So I had to leave that aside. And then when I was 14, 15, I had no interest in going to bars or getting drunk or trying drugs. I was just wanting to find some answers and direction for my spiritual path. So I started reading every single book I could find on spirituality, on psychology, on transcendence. And I kept I guess I was on a spiritual quest from very early. And I really wanted to understand the real nature of life, the journey of the soul, and how our mind works. And so I remember once we were at a class, I think I was 20 at the time, and the professor asked all of us, okay, what do you want to do when you grow up? And people would say, okay, I want to be a good architect, I want to be successful in my career, I want to start a family, I want to find the one and get married, all those things. And when it was my turn, I said, well, I want to be a wise person and a person with a big heart. And I remember everyone looking at me like, where is this girl coming from? So I guess I was weird from the very beginning.
Yeah, or you followed the law of attraction and intention, and you are the wise. You've become very wise, and you have a very big heart, right? Which is what you were talking about in the beginning, is that we have to make a paradigm shift if we want to continue to be able to at least not only survive on planet Earth, but enjoy the time that we're given to be here. Mm-hmm. I think that is what a lot of people don't understand, that it is a collaboration with with the trees and the plants and each other, right? We're not here in a power system. So share with us, I believe that you had a big moment that shifted you in your life because you had an encounter with the Tibetan lamas. And that created a very big moment of maybe changing the way your path was going. Can you share a little bit about that time?
Sure. For a while I tried to have an everyday life and to fit in. I married early. I studied economics. I had a master's degree and I worked for Prada in London, and then I got a job as an executive in Paris. And I had a well of life, with a full social agenda, good holidays, and yet I felt so unfulfilled. And I was like, well, we are supposed to, at this point, I have what people want. This is what everybody wants. I have it. And I am so unhappy. What is going on? So I decided to go to northern India, to Dharamsala, to do some research on Tibetans living in exile, because I thought I was going to write a book about that. And I was going there for 3 weeks, and I missed my flight home, so I ended up being there for 3 months. And that led me to study with the Tibetan lamas and receiving teachings from the Dalai Lama. And that changed my life. And not because they were talking about things that were really alien to me. On the contrary, what they will talk about will just deeply resonate with me. That was really my people, not because they were like me in terms they are monks, but it was not that. It's like these people think like I do. They have the same interests. They know how the mind works and how the heart works. And they have the same goal as I have, which is enlightenment. Okay, that is going to be a game changer for me. So I went back. I went back home. I was living in Paris at the time. And I realized upon my return that I could not continue with my former life. So I divorced. I left my job. I left my house. I left everything, all my plans and what I thought was going to be my life. And I returned to my parents' home with whatever I could fit in the car. And I started from scratch. I just knew I wanted to contribute to a better world. I did not know what I was going or how I was going to earn a living, but I did know I didn't want to lose my life. So it was one step at a time. I started in training in mostly in the U.S., in coaching, in neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, psychology and neuroscience, mindfulness. And then I decided to return to India and Nepal 3 months every year for a decade to continue my studies with the Tibetan lamas. And, well, in short, I changed my life to get it aligned with my highest purpose. I could not continue doing what I was doing or living out as I was living. And I have to say, I didn't even have one small second when I regretted it, even when it was very difficult at the beginning, you know.
Well, you sense that there was, again, let's come back to voice, there was some kind of an inner voice guiding you. It seems like there was a strong, like, sensation. Your intuition was in tune, what you were meant to do. In your book, The 7 Levels of Wisdom, you explore the evolution of consciousness. You talk about 7 levels, and you give very practical advice. Share with us how this new book that you've written bridges the gap between the Eastern spiritual philosophies and maybe some of the teachings that you've taken with you from your time in Tibet, or not in Tibet, in Nepal and northern India, and the modern Western mindset. So the people in the West, they are looking for that job at Prada, or they are looking for the handbag sometimes. I mean, not always, but that you said it correctly, that a lot of people have that aspiration. I need a car and a house and a this and a that, whereas there are other people that are honored to wear a robe and wake up early in the morning for meditation. So where's the bridge? Where can we what can we learn from each other?
I think we got the goals wrong, you know. I think inner peace is the holy grail of all human beings. I think this is our greatest aspiration, whether we know it consciously or not. I think people relentlessly pursue success, power, money, recognition, followers, possessions, you know, the ideal partner and so on, hoping to finally relax, enjoy life, and protect themselves from anything negative, so they can finally be at peace. But I think the problem is that pursuing these goals frenetically will never bring you that which you are longing for. I think it pushes it further away, because the state of inner balance is not achieved through more speed, more wealth, more relationships, more pleasure, more sex, more friends, more likes, more of anything. Yeah. Inner peace is a natural state to which we return when our mind is serene and clear and our heart is open, regardless of external events. And I think if we observe ourselves closely, we realize that the mind has a life of its own, and it gets entangled in the stories we fabricate that have nothing to do with reality. Because there's no one single reality. There are 8 billion realities. we are excellent. We are, you know, you are an artist. I am an artist too. It's like we are excellent script writers, all of us, directors, protagonists of the dramas in which we live. And those are distorted movies that are filled with comparisons, with judgments, criticism, anxiety, envy, greed, negativity. And sometimes the movies are so dramatic that they could win awards at the festival. Yeah. But I think it would be useful for people to realize that this is the same as when we go to the cinema and we immerse ourselves in the movie so completely that it strips us away, provoking all kinds of emotional reactions as if they were happening. That's how our mind works. So by becoming aware of our automatic thoughts and attitudes, we can stop them and we can choose another way of thinking. And then it's another way of feeling, and consequently another way of living. Yeah. So the balance, the harmony, the enthusiasm, the inner peace we all aspire to are possible. But it doesn't depend on the world bending to our desires. I think the world we live in is the world we create in our mind every day. Do you want a different world? Well, change your internal movie.
And that is, I think that is a tragedy sometimes when I look at I'm also a mother, so I remember through my daughter's eyes seeing again the educational system that we have and how there's the stories repeated. The children kind of go in there with very wide eyes and open, and then most of the time, 90% of the time, they are not only learning about reading and writing and things from drama-based stories, the jealousy, the hate, the whatever.
Exactly.
But the history is pushed very strongly. The Napoleons, the Stalins, the Hitlers, especially I'm sitting in Germany. And so the children, they not only, it's not only that we have these films happening in our heads, but we've also been given the scripts. We have our own scripts, but we've also been fed those scripts. And at some point, we don't know anymore what is our own essence or voice unless we do take the time, and it can be very painful to sit in silence and to realize that we got a monkey mind and all these different scripts, all these different voices that are all, like you said, entangled in a jungle, and we get to lovingly look at that and be with that and to embrace that, and then find a way through things like your books or coachings or the arts. How can we untangle and unfold and really come back to our own heart? You have another quote, Mónica. Share with me.
As you said, I think it's exactly right. The problem with education is that it does not give you the base that we as human beings should have to be able to thrive, to be able to find our voice. The education system, and it doesn't really matter where you live, it's an education system that wants everyone to be the same. They want photocopies of people, and they want to program people to think in a certain way. And they want you to disconnect with your own inner voice. You just have to follow the rules, and you just follow authority. You just follow the expert or so-called experts. Yeah. And that's it. You don't think for yourself. You don't question anything. You don't listen to your creativity and your inner voice and your higher self. So unless you really make a big effort, you're not going to find that. You are going to think that you don't have it. And it's only because it's really hidden inside.
Yeah. I think also that people are forgetting to go one-on-one with this idea of we're only here at the most, maybe, if we're lucky, for 100 years. That would be very lucky. And that we too shall pass. So do we want to spend our whole life in drama, or do we want to spend it in peace? There's a beautiful quote in your book from Marcus Aurelius, and it says, do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life, right? And if people started coming from this place, that's your book, my love. That is in one of your chapters. I think if we come from this place that when we are acting in the world or when we are present in the world, that this could be the last moment, then we also would be more thirsty to understand the place of inner peace. Talk to us about compassionate action, Mónica. Talk about it, the importance of compassionate action. Yeah.
I think that you're exactly right. And when we understand and we integrate, because somehow we know it, but it's not present in our life, that our life is short and very precious, we would do things, I think, differently. And what I learned with the Tibetans is that you reflect on your own death every single day. Here in the West, we think it's a taboo. It's like we don't talk about death because it's like, oh, no, it brings bad luck. What is that? It's the only thing for sure that you know when you are born.
Yes.
This is the only thing. All the rest could happen or could not happen, but you know one single thing for sure. You're going to die one day, and you don't know when. So you may as well make a good use of this life. I do believe in reincarnation, and it's not a belief, I have memories, but even if you don't believe in that, this opportunity is unique. So if you don't make good use of it, then one day, and I know that because of many reasons, but I'm just going to say it, one day you will leave this body and you will do a review of your life. And you're not going to do a review of your life considering, okay, I had so much recognition, oh, my job, it was so important, or I have the biggest house in the neighborhood. That doesn't really matter. None of that is important at all. You don't take anything with you. The only thing that matters when you leave your body and you review your life is you're going to feel whatever you have done in your life in the skin of others. You are going to put yourself in the shoes of other people, the ones that were harmed or benefited from whatever you did in your life. If we should keep this in mind, and I think if people will know this or want to know this, they will act very, very differently. Because you have to remember that one day you will have to review that, and you need to be proud of it and not regret one single thing, because you're not going to have a second chance, not in the same lifetime, in any case.
Yes, you're not going to be able to change the script while you're checking out of here, right? That movie will run, and it'll be the truth. It'll be condensed into a very quick film for you to understand that this is what you gave, and this is also what still needs to be done. So, Mónica, we're going to take a very, very short break for our sponsors, and everybody else stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly with Mónica Esgueva.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free, ascendinghearts.com.
With happy clients all over the world, Kara Johnstad knows that your voice is the missing link to more authenticity, abundance, creativity, and health. An internationally acclaimed voice expert, Kara's breakthrough methods have helped thousands of people successfully heal their voice wounds and extinguish the story of self-doubt and shyness forever. Join in group trainings, attend online sessions, schedule one-on-one time, and invite Kara to work with your organization and community. Get started today. Go to www.karajohnstad.com and receive a special guided meditation designed to fine-tune your inner voice and welcome you on the voice journey.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for
summer break because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time
landing a job and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Voice Rising. For all of you enjoying the voice journey, feel free to share this beautiful episode with your friends and subscribe to Voice Rising. It's on OMTimes Radio on your favorite streaming platform. And now let's dive back into our conversation with Mónica Esgueva. We're talking about her new book, and we're going to explore further her transformative teachings. Welcome back, Mónica.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you talk about the 7 levels, so all the way up to 7. Elaborate on the distinct difference between the 7 levels of consciousness that you outline in your book, and how can we move from one level to the other level?
Okay. I think everybody will recognize Eckhart Tolle. So Eckhart Tolle says that humans cannot act beyond the level of consciousness. Mm-hmm. So this is really what I try to explain is that our worldview develops over time and become more inclusive and expansive. And we can see it clearly on how we perceive ourselves and our world differently at 30 versus 15 years old, right?
Yes.
So the meaning we attribute to life is determined by the lens through which we perceive the world and ourselves. The thicker the lens, the less capacity we have to hold ourselves apart from the object of our thoughts and emotions. Mm-hmm. So higher development means more awareness, more openness, more self-acceptance, more flexibility. I would say more tolerance of complexity and ambiguity, more compassion, and a greater wish to grow. So these are levels that we are increasing in consciousness. And of course, in wisdom and compassion. So each level builds upon the previous one, like Russian dolls, encompassing the previous ones, and gradually leading towards a higher, more profound awareness and understanding. And in the 7 levels of wisdom, I offer the results of my research and my own experience. And then I outline the 7 levels of evolution of human consciousness as adults. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to go through all of them in one lifetime, but we will have to go through all of them at some point. And what I try to offer is a path towards self-transcendence and greater fulfillment, which is what we are looking for, really. So the 7 levels, I can name them, and so people that are listening can have an idea. So the first one is expert. The second one is the achiever. The third one is individualist. The fourth one is strategist. Fifth one is alchemist. I forgot one. Conformist, expert, achiever. That's the 3 first ones. Mm-hmm. And then individualist, strategist, alchemist, and unitive. Mm-hmm. But let me say that we have, like, for people to understand it in an easier manner, we have 3 main tiers in the West, let's say. It's in humanity at large, but I think it's good that we just focus on the West. Mm-hmm. The first tier is pre-conventional, and it's before the person enters society, which is like almost no one is at that point in the Western societies. The second tier is conventional, and here's where the person is influenced and defined mainly by the constraints and the rules of society. And people identify with a separate self or ego, and they just use a rational mind all the time. And then the third tier will be the post-conventional. And this is when the person can move outside of conventional rules and can question them. And then the person understands that they are more than their physical body. And they start exploring ways beyond the rational mind. And I think a lot of your listeners are kind of thinking, okay, where am I? And most of them are in the third post-conventional tier. Because this is when you start to go outside, I wouldn't say go off society, but you start questioning. And you understand that the paradigm, that the social paradigm where we are immersed is just one paradigm. Doesn't mean that it's the only one. And at the conventional level, you think this is the only one. You have to be rational. You have to think you have to take into account only the scientific paradigm, and all the rest does not exist. It just ruled. So my main focus has always been on how to go beyond the current obsession of being materially successful, which is something of the conventional fear, and become an achiever in the conventional world, to keep advancing towards what we should become, and what should become as well our ultimate objective, which is self-transcendence, enlightenment, fulfillment, inner peace. So I decided to write this book so we can understand where we are and what is the path, or one path at least, that will give us the signs on how to get to that, let's call it Everest. Everybody can go to the Everest, but it's always good to have a good map.
A good map, it's always good. And a few good friends that you know if you slip and fall, they're going to take your hand, right? I think, no, I'm serious about this. I remember writing an article, and it was exactly that a lot of people are trying to do, and they're just in these situations, and they're not looking exactly at that. If you were going to climb Everest, you would be very conscious of what are you going to bring with, what is too much weight, what do you need, and your friends around you need to be of the highest quality. You need to remember self-worth, that if you should break your leg while falling down the cliff, they're going to be the friends that are going to pull you up and help you to heal and mend. And many people spend many, many years with people in their life that treat them poorly, and that if they were on the mountaintop, they would basically die in that situation. And I think it's powerful. It's powerful to think, who do we spend, whether it's work or whether it's in relationship? Because everyone's like, I cannot get out of this work, or I cannot get out of this relationship. But if you're on a mountaintop, bring only the best people, right? The best people.
Absolutely, there is a concept in Buddhism. There is a concept that is the Sangha, and the Sangha is the community of like-minded people, and they always make a point in making people remember and commit to that, because it's like if people that will support you, and you will support them, and you will help each other to grow, because they are interested in the same things. They are not just involved in the material world. These are people that are spiritually minded, and they know how important it is to have a support system. It may not be your blood family. It doesn't have to be. But it's like-minded people with the same goals, with the same philosophy, or at least in a philosophy that we can understand. And then it's like, okay, we will hold each other's hands, as you were saying. And I think it's a very important concept, absolutely.
Yeah. You close your book talking about unity consciousness with the chapter is called Make Me an Instrument. And of course, you bring in the beautiful prayer from Francis from Assisi, the peace prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, let me sow forgiveness. Where there's doubt, let me sow faith. And it continues. I think most people know this. Where there's sadness, let me give joy. It's such a powerful, beautiful prayer. So what is your experience? I know a few years ago you had a profound awakening. What is your experience of like you say, just becoming a channel, becoming the instrument for the universe, or for the energies, or for life to move through us? Is that your experience on the path?
Yeah. My first retreat there was in 2006, and since then I had a lot of big experiences, or mystical experiences. It doesn't really matter how you call them. And those, I'm not the only one. I mean, so many people are having that nowadays. But those events help me see and feel beyond our five senses and beyond our intellectual mind. And it's pretty similar to the experiences people have when trying sacred plants, such as ayahuasca with shamans in South America. The difference is that my experiences were not induced by any external substance. They just came out of the blue. You cannot make them happen. And they are very moving, very profound. and very hard to put them into words. It's just a feeling. Yeah. It's an image. It's something very profound that it's ineffable. But how can you describe the taste of melon to someone who has never tried, right? It's
exactly.
useless.
Exactly. What can you say?
We are trying to communicate through words, or we are just doing our best here. But the difference with those peak experiences in the past and the awakening experience I had a few years ago is that the previous ones eventually faded away, no matter how powerful and intense they were. This one had like a lasting effect, and it was a profound experience of oneness, of unconditional love towards all living beings, and feeling. It was just not just an intellectual thing. It was feeling the perfection of the divine plan, and how everything that happened in my current life and previous lifetimes that I could remember, including very tough experiences, made sense. And also the catastrophes and the apparent injustices going on in the world, because it's all part of the infinite plan. And it was designed out of infinite love. It all made sense. And with this trust profoundly within me, I began to feel such a deep, like, pervading inner peace that has not left me. And what I did, it was weird, because I had to leave my public work. I stopped giving talks, and I was participating on a national TV program. I left all that for years because I wanted to focus completely on my inner work. And it has only been recently that I felt again the inner voice saying, okay, now it's time to go back and share from a different place. And I guess the book is part of that new stage. So my experience is that we have to listen to that voice. But that voice is at the same time, it's always there for every human being.
Yeah.
It's the voice of the soul, it's the voice of consciousness, it's the voice of the higher self. It doesn't really matter, even you can call it the voice of your angels. It doesn't really matter how you call it. But we all come with this voice. However, we have so many layers of ego desires, ego grasping, ego greed, ego jealousy, so many layers and layers that we cannot hear the voice. But it's not that the voice is not there. And nowadays we also have so much noise, so much technology in every, all the time. So even if the voice is there speaking to us, how on earth are we going to listen to it with so much noise? We're always distracted anyway.
I think that is so true, that people don't realize that we had a little bit the films and the television. I always say that I don't have a television in my home, and I still have many books in my home, but I don't have a television. But I think people can't even remember. I grew up with 3 television channels. Then there were millions of television channels, but it was still a box that you turned on somewhere in a room. Now people are carrying zillions of channels close to their heart, in their back pocket. They're waking up, it's in the bedroom. Many people are saying they're looking at their phone before they even look at their lover. Right? I mean, you're in bed with your husband, but you're looking at your phone before you look at your husband. And then people wonder why relationships are so difficult, because we're forgetting to be present with each other, right?
And so much, people are suffering from so much stress, anxiety, even depression, because they are not within themselves. Their mind is somewhere else. They're not here. So of course, and when the mind is not focused willingly, you choose to focus your mind, then the mind, because of our negative bias, the mind goes to whatever is worrying you. The mind doesn't go to the good things. The mind goes to What is a potential problem? What is the thing that I lack and I want to have? What is not going right in my life? We just have to think when, most people, when they wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they cannot get back to sleep, where does your mind go to? So if you don't train your mind is always going to be on the negative. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Because biologically, we were designed, our brain was designed for survival, physical, biological survival. And that was 200 years ago, and 200,000 years ago. So at that time, it made sense because we were surrounded by predators, and our life was in danger. We still have the same mechanism, but you get out of the house and you don't have a lion just trying to eat you alive. But we still have that. And that means that we have a radar of potential threats and potential dangers. And that's why we have this negative bias. If you don't train your mind is going to be always on the negative.
Yeah, yeah. You said something very beautiful when you were sharing that you had many experiences. I really enjoyed that because some people, they want to get it quickly, but these enlightening experiences, they do unfold, I think, when we're ready. We don't need to push them. They will come when we're ready. Some people can really get themselves into some tricky situations when they try to grab at the transcendental experiences too quickly, because the body, when it's ready, it will bring us there. And what one senses also is a lot of people, they try to repeat. They have one incredibly enlightened moment, but we can't repeat it. But what we can do is embody it and bring that wisdom, as you talk about in your book, into our body and see how we're going to live our lives differently with that glimpse of the the beyond or the preciousness, or how what are we going to do with that profound experience, and how are we going to embody it for our time on Earth, right? Exactly. You are currently co-directing and hosting a documentary, I believe. So you went into the inner life for a while, but now you are back not only with the book, but you're also co-directing and hosting a documentary. Give us the title. Is there already a title, and when's the release?
Well, it's going to be in Spanish for now, and the title is Waking Up. Waking Up. This waking is what. Up? Waking Up. It's the path to. The subtitle is The Path Towards Self-Transcendence, and I can tell you how I thought about this, or the information came to me really. I think not many people know about this, but during the last 3 years of his life, Abraham Maslow recognized that self-transcendence was the highest echelon in the hierarchy of needs. So most people only know that the last one is self-actualizer, right? Well, no, he discovered that there was another one, and that was self-transcendence. And I was very intrigued by that when I read in his book when he already died. That there was a big difference, and the first ones, the self-actualizers, what they had is, okay, I know I have a talent, and I'm going to spend my life trying to be the best version of myself, so I can put those talents into my own fulfillment. And that's good. I think it's interesting, but it's so much more powerful when you know that you can go a step even further, which is self-transcendence. And those people go more towards the mystical, the transpersonal, and they look for a fusion of the eternal and the temporal. And they are able to perceive the sacredness in all things. Yeah. So I thought, because of this enormous shift the Earth is going through that we just talked about, and the increase of vibration, we must go all on a global scale. I think more and more people, and that's the good news, you mentioned it before, that more people are hearing that inner calling towards raising their level of consciousness, towards working towards self-transcendence. And I think there's a lot of information available about self-help and wellness nowadays, and I think it's good. But there's not so much about the path to ascension or to self-transcendence.
Yeah.
And that's why I had this calling to do a documentary that could help those people that are interested in this topic, but they need some guidance, or they're looking for some inspiration to keep growing. So I thought, well, let's do it.
So you're basically a modern day mystic, right?
I don't know.
No, I think that is so true. There are a lot of people, and we can get very caught also in all the wellness, in all the green smoothies on Instagram, and all the different modalities, thousands of different ways to heal. I mean, it's all good that it's out there, but sometimes it's maybe too just good to sit and stop and to listen to our body. And normally, intuitively, we also know what is feeling good for us. And otherwise we can get also caught in we have 8 yoga classes a week, but we never really arrive where we want to arrive because it's just on a checklist, right? So where can people...
Because I think it's the motivation, I think we all have to check our motivation. Yeah. What is the motivation behind my actions? Yeah. Okay, am I doing because I just want to be thin? Or I want to be, in good health, which is totally fine. But if we stay there, we are just putting a ceiling on our development. I like the ideal, and I learned this with the Tibetan lamas, and it's such a beautiful ideal, that we should all strive to become bodhisattvas. And that is just a person aspiring to heal and awaken themselves for the sake of others. You want to awaken, you want to get enlightened, you want to liberate yourself because you know that by doing that, you will be able to help so many other people. And I think it's such a beautiful idea.
It's a very beautiful idea. It's also a beautiful idea if each one of us took care of our community or our lives, the world would be an incredibly gorgeous garden. If each one of us could take care of our relationships at home, our loving relationships, and make sure that is in order, then everything is good. Mónica, I'd like to thank you so much for being with me today, and I wish you so much luck and success with the 7 levels of wisdom, and your teachings are very inspiring, I think, for many. So it's good that I don't want to say you came out of hiding, but it's good that you went from that deep inner work and then you're bringing that work out to the world for all of us to enjoy. And to our listeners out there, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure that you leave us some comments and share the show. And the next show will be with a sound healer, and her name is Vicky Dodd. And she'll be talking about healing through sound and awakening our audible body. So thank you, Mónica. Thank you so much. Many blessings.
Thank you from my heart. Thank you from my heart.
Bye-bye.